Hi everyone, I'm Bas Taras. I hope by now you know me. And I would like to record a short message, video message, I guess, for the coaches. I was looking at the data that you provided in your progress survey, and everything looks good, but many of you seem to be somewhat confused as to what you need to do with respect to the instructional webinar, instructional video lecture, and the training module that you need to prepare. And so I thought I would spend a few minutes and give you a quick overview as to why we do it and then how you do it. So first, why? As you know, the X-Culture coaching program is an opportunity for you and a goal for us to provide you with experience of managing people, preparing training materials for your subordinates and colleagues, and basically coaching people. And so you're already working on things like providing feedback on the submissions or work that the students prepare. You are already working on conflict cases and on other interesting cases where students or teams need your help. And so that seems to be more or less under control. Now, in addition to you solving problems or helping solve problems with the students or for the students, we thought it would be a very good idea if you also tried your tried yourself as a coach through the modern communication medium, including the webinar, live webinar, including a video lecture where you record yourself and deliver training that way, and then the good old paper-based training module. And so if you do that, first of all, it will be a good experience for you. When you have to do it again as part of your job, you will be better prepared. Even if you don't do a wonderful job this time, at least you will know what to expect next time, and hopefully that will allow you to do a better job next time. I would like to be able to say in your recommendation letter that you did all of that you did provide feedback on work of others, that you did help teams solve problems and conflicts and coordinate themselves and things like that, but also you organized instructional live webinars, also you recorded video lectures, also you developed text-based training modules, and so all of that will go into your portfolio. So when the time for you comes to apply for a job, you will have samples of that work, and you will be able to show your potential employers that you already have some experience in this area. And so let me say a few words about what's expected of you, and I will use drafts from one of the coaches, Jacqueline, who sent me her work, and I looked at what she has and have some comments on that. And I kind of suspect most of you are roughly in that same situation or at the same stage with your work. So hopefully the feedback I will provide to Jacqueline will also help you. So first and foremost, the topic. The topic can be anything, as long as you think it will be useful for the students. So you can choose just about any topic related to the X-Culture project. So perhaps maybe you can develop a training module, a video lecture, a webinar on some of the questions that they have to answer for their challenges. So for example, maybe you can talk about the entry modes, what entry modes are available to the companies when they expand into new markets, what are the differences, why or when one is better than the other. Or you can talk about, for example, things like plagiarism. What is plagiarism? What plagiarism is not? How you avoid plagiarism? What do you do if your team member plagiarized his or her part of the report? How the team should handle it? Things like that. You can also talk about things like, for example, the questions that you commonly receive as a coach. You can literally say something like, over the last few weeks, I've received 100 questions, and this is what the students usually ask, and let me try to answer those questions. Or maybe you can share your observations about the most common mistakes, and maybe even the most common strong sides of the weekly submissions that you rate. You can literally go like this. You can say, I've read 100 submissions last week, and it was block 2, the one that deals with the market analysis. And I did go through those submissions, and here is what I can tell you. These are the recurrent problems that I see all the time, and this is what I recommend you do. Maybe even, here are the examples of some good answers, and this is why I like them, and this is what you need to do to have good answers or give good answers in the next round. So things like that. You can also address more general questions, like, for example, you can perhaps talk about challenges of cross-cultural communication in general, or perhaps maybe you can do some research and provide some suggestions and feedback on, developing a marketing strategy in general. So whatever you think would be useful to the students who participate in X-Culture is a good topic. It is just important that every time you think, what would I like the students to get out of this? So what will be their kind of aha moment? Because what you want is that when they read your text-based module, when they watch your lecture, when they listen to your webinar, they go, aha, well, this is useful. This is something I didn't know. Or maybe this is something I did wrong, and now I know how to do it better. So looking here at work that Jacqueline sent to me, let me share the screen so you can see what she sent me. So for the webinar, she chose the topic that is a more general in the nature, and it deals with crowdsourcing ideas in large groups. So it is a wonderful topic for two reasons. On the one hand, it is directly related to X-Culture. X-Culture does rely on crowds to solve problems, and so the topic is definitely very, very relevant in the context of our project. At the same time, it's general enough that people may find it useful and interesting even outside the X-Culture's scope. And so here I see an outline. I'm not going to go into all the details, but this is a very good way to start. So we have a topic, we have an outline, like I will start with an introduction of myself and the topic, and then I will have a little poll and maybe ask the students whether they prefer to listen to an expert or a group of experts, then maybe give some a little overview of what is crowdsourcing, and then maybe perhaps compare it to the more traditional way of solving problems, and so on and so on. This is a wonderful outline, a great topic. I really don't think there is much to add here. I even see that Jacqueline did some research and, for example, found a lot of information in groupthink. And so that's a very important issue when you have groups. People tend to think alike. And so one of the big questions in crowdsourcing is, how do you preclude groupthink? How do you organize the process in a way where people each think independently while working as a group? So this is a very, very good example of a good topic and a solid outline. So it seems to me that Jacqueline is pretty much ready to go with it. So all she has to do now is to schedule the webinar and then inform me about the time and date. I will forward it to all the students, and then hopefully there will be at least some who will attend. Even if nobody attends, which is also possible, students are busy, no problem. It will be recorded. For you, it's still an experience. The students who could not attend it live will watch it live. And so for you, it's still a good experience of trying to deliver something more or less in the live format. Obviously, I encourage and even insist that the coaches attend each other's webinars and basically be in the audience, both to perhaps pretend to be students and ask questions, because many of you are students, even though now you serve as coaches, but you are students at your schools, or also for experience. There is no better way of learning how to do things than, well, the best way is to do it yourself, but then also watching others do the same thing helps a lot. And so it would be a good idea to attend webinars organized by other coaches to see and learn and maybe spot problems in their presentation, and then perhaps do better when you do it on your own. Now, for her video lecture, Jacqueline chose, again, a very interesting topic, SWOT analysis. Again, a wonderful topic for two reasons. SWOT analysis is something that everybody will, or everybody who is dealing with business will have to do at some point. So you will have to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of your own company or the company that perhaps you consult for, and also analyze the opportunities and threats. And so it's a good topic in general, but also it's one of the topics that the students in X-Culture have to deal with when they prepare the proposals for their companies. And so this way it would be useful for X-Culture students in particular, but would be interesting to them in general as well. Now, the outline here is less developed, so it's a little bit harder for me to evaluate what's going to go in this video lecture. But it seems like, Jacqueline is planning to start with the definition of SWOT, and that makes sense. And then basically look at each of the components and talk about, what are the strengths and maybe some examples of strength. And I assume she would be using the weekly submissions she saw from the students as examples of good strengths or good examples of identifying strengths that are relevant, and then perhaps maybe bad examples or good examples of bad submissions. And then the same thing with the weaknesses, and then for opportunities, and then for threats, and then perhaps even a little bit more advice on how to put it all together. So it seems to me like a wonderful topic. Now she would just need to maybe rehearse it a few times and then record herself and then share the video. Again, we will make it available to the students so that they can learn from you. And then also you can add it to your portfolio so you can later show it to the prospective employers and say, yes, I've done all kinds of things, including recorded instructional videos for the people that I coached. And finally, the text-based module. So this one seems to be a more general topic, marketing techniques. And here I'll be honest, confused with the outline. So I understand it will be something on marketing, but I'm not sure what exactly it means, marketing techniques. When I look at the outline, it seems to me that it's more about the possible promotion channels. So it's not so much about marketing techniques, but a review of the possible promotion channels for a product or service, and then evaluation of what they are and when they are more suitable or less suitable for promoting products. And I see here you have ways to promote the product by yourself. So like through an elevator pitch, through a presentation, perhaps, using business cards and stuff like that. But it also seems like it's a presentation of a person, right? So that's how I can promote myself. Again, I'm a little confused here and I'm not sure. Same thing with the projects and then companies. So this would be an example of a potentially very interesting topic. But at least based on the outline I have so far, it seems to me that it's still a little too raw. So it seems to me that that's something that Jacqueline can still work a little bit more on, and perhaps expand it a little bit, make it more detailed. And then once the outline seems reasonable and logical, she can then go and expand each topic, each point into perhaps like a paragraph or two, and in the end up with a 10-15 page training module, text-based training module. So it seems like a good start, but of the 3 pieces of work that Jacqueline submitted, this one on the written training module seems to be the least developed. But then again, we still have enough time. We still have almost a month of the time when the students will be working, and then you will have a little bit more time afterwards. If somebody is not done with some work, you can always try to do it. So steps that you need to take now. The webinars, I would recommend that you do them as soon as possible. So I literally recommend that you schedule the webinars this week, maybe next week, because the students will want to attend it, and the students will be gone in basically 3 weeks or so, even less than that. And so you probably would like to offer them the webinars before they finalize their final proposals, so that they can use the information you provide in the webinar as they are working on their projects and as they are finalizing their work as teams. For the video lecture and the text-based module, again, sooner is better than later. But I suppose with those, it's okay to submit them a little later. So I guess students would like to see them sooner rather than later so they can still use that information. But because it's recorded, I suppose most of this will be still used by the students next semester. So if you're a little late here, it's not a problem. As long as we have it by the end of the semester, we are good. And yes, and then, I would strongly recommend you to send the drafts to your head coaches, to Tim, maybe even to me for feedback. So there is, it's impossible to over-prepare. So the more you do, the better. And then finally, when you're ready, just, work on the recording of the video lecture. Try the webinar. It will never go exactly like you planned, but as long as you prepare enough, you will be able to improvise and manage it properly. And then the same thing with the text-based training module. I mean, even if it's not perfect, you can polish it a little bit more later on. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to email Tim or email me. I'll be happy to provide some more information, but I strongly encourage you to give it the best you can. It will be an experience that will help you in your future career. You will be, as a manager, expected to provide this sort of service to your employees, webinars, video lectures, training modules. So if you try now, even if you fail, it will be a good experience, and it will help you do it better in the future when you do it as part of the job. All right. Thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to seeing your work.